Hey everyone, and welcome to Egg's review on the much anticipated album Clancy by 21 Pilots. This album came out a few weeks ago, however, instead of jumping on the gun, I wanted to take my time with this album, digest it, and analyze it further so that recency bias wouldn't influence this review. Well, boy, am I glad I did because I felt way different about this album the first time around than I do now. For this album review, as well as album reviews in the future, I'll be going through each song individually through the tracklist in order and giving my thoughts and critiques on them, as well as giving a final score for each individual song out of 10. Once I finish going through, I'll give an overall review of the album, discussing how the individual songs fit and flow with the album, give it a rating out of 10, which will then determine if it's a good egg or a rotten egg. I'll conclude with my final thoughts on the album, as well as any extra things I'd like to add as well.
Are my stripes 300 tracks in my Adidas track jacket?
Okay, so first we start off with Overcompensate, which I made a video on when it released. I still stand by what I said in that video except for a few things. However, if you haven't seen the video yet, this is how I feel about the song. I think the instrumentation is the highlight of the song, and the beginning in particular is incredible. It builds you up and gets you hyped, which works incredibly well for an intro. Now in my review, one of my complaints I had about this song was the rapping. I thought some of the lyrics were a bit cringy, which I still stand by, such as Gobsmacked and Adidas Track Jacket, and I also thought that the style of which Tyler chooses to rap here felt a bit uninspired and mainstream, especially in comparison to his incredible rapping in Levitate. However, the rapping has actually grown on me through multiple listens, and although I still sort of stand by some of these critiques, I don't dislike it as much as I did the first time around. This song is currently an 8 out of 10. Okay, so here we have a song that I actually planned on making a review on as it was the second single of this album. However, I never got the chance to because I got busy with other things and ran out of time. Anyway, this song is freaking awesome. It could potentially be my favorite track on the album, especially considering that it's an alt-rock song, which I was really craving, pun intended, from this album. I love the passionate punk vibes from the song, and the hook in particular is great. However, what I think really stands out here is the bridge that transitions the rock to a soft and powerful ukulele conclusion. It works perfectly and is one of the best moments in any top song in my opinion. I have pretty much no major issues with this song. 9.5 out of 10.
I'll take anything you have if you could throw me a line.
Yet again, this was a song that I was also planning on reviewing when it came out, as it was the third single of this new LP. When I first heard this song, I really did not like it. Although it has grown on me a bit, there are still a lot of critiques I have about this song, and I still stand by. First, let's just talk about the overall production. I think some of the instrumentation here is very messy. It's really funky, but not in a good way. For example, I think the flute in the background doesn't work at all. I also think that the vocal mixing is downright terrible in the chorus here, which is very sad because this song has potential. It's like an underbaked cookie begging to stay in the oven longer. This song feels a bit rushed and it really just needs more work because I can feel the potential here, especially considering how good the hook would sound if the vocal mixing was worked on a lot more. However, I will say that the rapping here is pretty decent. It's not necessarily jaw-droppingly good or anything, but it's not bad so it doesn't take off any points. When I initially heard this song, it was a 3, but it's grown on me some and now it's a solid 5 out of 10.
Reaching out on my way home. Could be so cold, I'll try again.
Alright, now we finally arrived at the songs that we hadn't heard yet. When I first heard this song, I was quite shocked. I did not at all expect any songs here to have this super poppy synth sound that almost sounds kind of like something from Scaled and Icy, but with a bit more rock. However, although I didn't know how to feel about this song when I first heard it, I've listened to it a few times, and right now I can say it's pretty good. Sure, the synths are pretty obnoxious, especially when they first kick in, but something about this song just feels very nostalgic. It gives Fun, the band, vibes for some reason, and I quite like it. However, something that the song does bring out an issue that I have with the album as a whole, which is the tracklist order. Although I sort of noticed it at first, I think this song was the biggest whiplash in sounds that I initially felt. I'll get to this major complaint later in the album overview in part 2, but just thought I'd mention that this song is what brought this to realization when I initially heard it. However, it doesn't affect the song score, just the album score. Anyway, this song is a solid 7 out of 10. Pretty good, especially since it was the complete opposite of what I was expecting.
Walk the layout, routines in the night. Some doors have stay out, spray painted and white.
Next, we have Routines in the Night, which I think it's okay. I mean, I liked this song when I first heard it in my first few listens, but it's grown pretty stale on me recently. It's cool, but sounds very uninspired, which is an issue that I have with certain elements of this LP. However, the catchy chorus is pretty great, and I love the instrumentation. It works well for a dark and gritty rap song, however, it still feels very uninspired, which is why it's grown really stale on me for the past few listens. This feels like a song that anyone could have made, and it gives vibes that I feel like I've heard from a lot of very mainstream artists. It's okay, but not very original. 6 out of 10.
Where do I go from here? Where do I go from here?
Oh man, here's where it really goes downhill. This song was very disappointing for me, specifically because of the title. When I first saw the song titles for this album, most of them looked very odd, such as Midwest Indigo, Next Semester, Oldie Station, At the Risk of Feeling Dumb, and Paladin Straight. However, Vignette seemed pretty interesting. I imagined it as representing a shadowy figure that mimicked someone and could potentially try to control them. And boy, was I spot on, because that's just what the song's about. Lyrically, this song's about addiction, and the vignette is supposed to represent that. However, if only this song is great outside of the lyrics would I like it. I think the poppy rapping here is really cringy, and the high notes that Tyler hits here, although impressive, don't work at all, and once again, just make me cringe. The instrumentals are okay, but are lacking something. However, I will say that I'm glad Tyler screams here. Something that I was craving from this album was a lot of alt rock, which are conveyed from the album cover, as well as a lot of screaming, which we unfortunately did not get much from this LP. However, it's unfortunate that one of the only songs where Tyler screams outside of Next Semester is one of 21 Pilot's worst songs sonically. It's unfortunate because I was really looking forward to this one. 4 out of 10.
Say enough, did I let it know, let it know?
When it comes to Top's love songs, I've never cared too much for them. I don't think they're bad, but they're not necessarily standouts, and I don't usually go out of my way to listen to them. However, this song is one of the most beautiful songs I've ever heard from 21 Pilots. When I heard the single version, I thought it was fine, but yet again knew it would be a song that I'd probably not listen to much at all on my own. Besides, it was definitely just made for the radio. I mean, come on, it's literally called single version. However, the slower pace of this song and the fact that it's stripped back so much does it so many favors that it's crazy. The only complaint I have about it is that it's still pretty generic like the single version, which has unfortunately made it grow a bit stale on me through multiple listens, but it's still a great song. This one was a pleasant surprise, and I honestly didn't expect it to be as good as it was, especially after hearing the single version. Literally one of 21 Pilot's best love songs. 8 out of 10.
Welcome to the new way of living, it's just the beginning of
Garbage. Vignette is where I said it goes downhill. The Craving basically added as a speed bump for that path on the album. However, after that's over, it goes downhill hard with Lavish. This might be one of the worst 21 Pilot songs I've ever heard, along with the Pantaloon. Yeah, this song is like the Pantaloon of the album. The instrumentals here are just way too pop-funk sounding for my taste, and it does not work at all, unlike Level of Concern, which pulls it off incredibly well. I also find the chorus extremely cringy, and don't even get me started on the lyrics in that second rap verse.
your proctologist.
I get that this song is supposed to be a break in the tension by being humorous, and it's supposed to be something different, but it's not even good. I love variety in an album, but at least make it fit and sound good. One of the worst defenders on this album, 3 out of 10 being slightly generous. Music video is funny though. Finally, some alt rock. Yet again, I lied, and here we have another speed bump. In a good way, obviously. It's insane how this album just goes back and forth with good and bad. This song is insane. Although I'm not a fan of his music, it reminds me of The Weeknd if he made a rock song, and it works really well here. The heavy guitar and drumming in particular are a huge standout in both this track and the album as a whole, especially when it kicks in at the beginning of the song. The only complaints I have here are the way Tyler says navigating in the chorus, and the build-up at the end that was so close to pulling off with a scream, but instead chose to hold back, which I was really disappointed by. Starting off with the chorus, when I first heard the flow of it, I thought it was pretty good, until Tyler said navigating really fast. It just felt like he was trying to cram a 4-syllable word in that chorus, and it does not work at all, and it really messed up the flow of the song, and really threw me off when I heard it for the first time. However, throughout the song, even in my first listen, I got used to it after hearing it multiple times and getting used to the way it flowed. I'd also like to mention the build-up at the end. It was this close to being perfect if Tyler had just screamed in it. Everything about this song was begging for a scream, with both the instrumentals and tension and the vocals at the bridge in particular. However, the song just decided to go back to a chorus outro, which I think was a huge mistake. The momentum of the build-up was kind of just killed and still leaves me feeling very unsatisfied with the way the song ends. However, even with these complaints, it's still a great song and a huge standout in the album. 8 out of 10.
Blacklisted from forgiveness for you once. It's been 25 times. It's a backslide.
This one was in a weird spot for me for a while. When I first heard it, I didn't really care too much for it, especially because of how weird the vocal effects sounded in the chorus. However, this is one that grew on me a lot through multiple listens. Now, really, the only issues I have with this one are still the weird sounding vocal effects in the chorus, which you kind of get used to throughout the song, and the rapping style feeling pretty uninspired in certain parts. However, I love the lyrics of this song. It's basically the same thing that Backslide is about, but this song sounds way better. Something about this one is just so relaxing, atmospheric, and dare I say it, otherworldly for what it is. 8 out of 10.
When darkness rolls on you, push on through.
The song is probably the most forgettable on the album for me. It's decent, but doesn't really do much special. Just sonically, this song is painfully uninteresting, especially when taking into account how much variety this whole album has. However, I will mention that I like the gritty bass line, but that's really the only standout in this song. The biggest offender in this song, however, is the crowd chant. I still have not grown to like it, and it makes me cringe every time I hear it. Heck, I think even Tyler himself agrees with me.
Relative pain.
Yeah, nothing much to say about the song. Pretty mediocre. 5 out of 10.
I don't want anyone, know me or not. See me at my lowest, you don't have to drop. Don't have to drop by, nothing you can do this time.
Oh man, well, like at the risk of sounding dumb. Alright, first let me get the positives out the way. I like the lyrics, and that's it. Well, okay, I'm glad that the hook is alt-rock, and it does sound awesome, but it's ruined by the singing. The song is bad for a variety of reasons. One, the very first thing you hear in this song is this reggae synth that sounds like a goofy circus tune, and not gonna lie, I started having the Pantaloon flashbacks when I heard this. And I still do. And I'm not saying I don't like Top mixing reggae in their sound. I love when they do that because it makes them unique, and for the most part, it sounds awesome, like in Ride and Cut My Lip. But here it just sounds silly. And then two, the singing here kills the song for me. Tyler uses way too much unnecessary autotune. And the reason I say unnecessary is because Tyler has sang extremely high notes perfectly before. Even higher than this. Heck, even on the album and vignette, he sings probably the highest I've ever heard him sing. But for some reason, he decides to use autotune here. Even if it's just to sound cool, it instead sounds really bad, especially in the Fighter Jets line. And yeah, I know Routines in the Night has autotune in the chorus, but at least it's mixed with other vocal effects and complements the instrumentals well to result in a cool sound. But here it does not work at all. Also, the whole song is pretty catchy, but not in a good way. Yeah, this one's pretty bad. 4 out of 10 being generous because I like the alt-rock hook. Well. The end of the album at last. Paladin Strait is one of 21 Pilots' best closing songs. However, I don't think it fits on the album lyrically, and I'll get to that in part 2. But for the song itself, it's incredible. The atmospheric buildup in this song is out of this world, and the chorus is incredible. Also, I know many people don't like the 1 minute long bird chirping noise, but personally, I think it's great. Some say it's too long, but to be honest, I don't think it's that bad because, not to brag or anything, but I listened to Part of Me by Linkin Park like 100 times, no skips, and that song's 12 minutes long, and 90% of that song is just static noises, so, yeah. But anyway, after the bird chirping noise, I think we all know what the best part of this song is. Why don't we let Brad tell us? Lore! Finally! Weirdly enough, this is why I don't think this song fits on the album. And yes, I know initially you're probably shocked from that statement, but just wait till I explain myself in the overview. But yeah, we finally get some lore here. Clancy talks about the banditos fighting in Dima while he goes to find Nico. He's climbing to the top of the tower, and then all of a sudden we get this.
So few. So proud. So emotional. Hello, Clancy.
Bone chilling. 9 out of 10. What an incredible ending to this album. Is what I would say if this song made sense on the album. This is something I'll cover in part 2, so don't forget to click the link in the description to find out why. And yes, I'm intentionally ending the video here because the song itself ends on a cliffhanger. It all comes full circle.